What's up guys, my name is Tom, welcome back to another video here. Today is the day that F1 2020 comes to my channel, is the first episode of my team career mode, and without further ado guys, make sure to smash that like button and subscribe channel if new, because a lot of F1 2020 is now going to come out to the channel. So I hope you guys stay tuned and make sure to share this video and share the channel with everyone you can. It would mean a lot to me, because I'm gonna need a lot of motivation to this brand new F1 game, and I'm really looking forward to start the brand new feature, the most awaited feature, that is the My Team career mode, where we can be the 11th team. So guys, I hope you enjoy this series, and yeah, if you enjoy, make sure to stay tuned for more, and make sure to share this video, because it would mean a lot, like I said, because this is going to take me a lot of work to edit these videos, but I'm really looking forward to make content for you guys, but I really need your support. So without further ado, let's go to the My Team career mode.
Welcome to My Team. Here, you'll experience the world of Formula One not only as a driver, but as the owner of a brand new F1 team. First things first, let's choose your character.
So the first things first, we have to create our driver. I already created, you could see during the introduction of this video, so we're going to skip forward.
Great. Now, let's set up some of the key details of your new team. We'll start with an easy one. What name would you like to give the team?
And here is the first thing that we have to do, is choose the name for our team, and I decided to go a little bit simple, but at the same time going professional. Some of you guys told me in the comments to recreate a team like Jaguar or not Alfa Romeo, but HRT. I received some of those requests, but I decided that in this game I'm going to do my own team. In F1 2021, if we have this game mode, I'm going to recreate another team, but for this My Team career mode, I decided to run my team. So the name that I chose, it was very simple and for professional. Like I said, I think these were the two rules that I had in mind. I decided to go for Tom Motorsport, because Tom is my short name and is not my name in law, and Motorsport because a lot of people chose F1 team racing, but I never saw someone or a few people at least choosing the word Motorsport. So it's going to be Tom Motorsport. Let me know on the comments if you like the name, but this is going to be the name into our long F1 journey, I hope, because I want this to be a real challenge.
Nice. Now, some kind of income stream is critical, so we need to sign a primary sponsor. Our primary sponsor will pay a signing bonus to the team up front. This is vital to cover the early investments we need to make. They will also provide valuable weekly income for us. Each sponsor has a goal that they want the team to achieve. If we hit that goal, the sponsor will pay us an additional goal bonus.
The second thing is going to be to choose our main sponsor. Yes, the main sponsor, because we're going to have four secondary ones, but that I'm going to talk about further ahead in this video. So we have some sponsors with different objectives, which some of are very easy, which are going to give you less money, and then the most difficult, which obviously are going to give you more money. So I'm not going to choose the that gives more money, because that would be nuts, because that gives more money asks to earn 25 constructors points in a season, which is going to be super hard for a team that is going to start from scratch. So I decided to be very reasonable. I'm not going to choose the easiest one, that is complete a full season. I don't know if that's even impossible to do in this game. Maybe that would be a good idea for an experiment video. And I decided to choose Shark as our sponsor, because it requires to earn 5 constructor championships points, which I think it's possible, especially in a race where we can be lucky, like with a miraculous one stop, and where the safety car can really help us. I think that we can pull through a very good result and accomplish, who knows, even in just a one race weekend. So I decided to not take a huge risk, and I decided to go with Shaq, which I thought it was the best one. And we're going to receive this money in 3 ways. To receive $4.9 million as a signing bonus, then weekly we're going to receive $218.5K, and then if we achieve the goal of the 5 constructors points, we're going to win $3.6 million, which is a lot, and is going to help us out. So yeah, Shark is going to be our main sponsor.
Fantastic. Now we've got a budget to work with. Our car won't be going anywhere fast without a power unit, so let's sign a power unit supplier now. We need both performance and durability from our power unit, but we also need to balance the books. We're going to have a lot of other areas to invest our cash into.
The engine wasn't very hard to think to decide because I already had in mind what I want. I wanted an engine that wasn't very good, and I wanted to develop that engine to be the best. I had two options, Honda and Renault, and I didn't decide. I decided to choose Renault because Honda I used last year's game in F1 2019, where I drove for Toro Rosso and Red Bull. Those cars are powered by Honda, so I decided, okay, I'm going with Renault, which has a very similar pace to Honda. It's going to be a little bit expensive, yes, and yeah, decided to. I really want a challenge, and yeah, the engine is going to be Renault. A piece of advice for you: don't choose the Ferrari one because Codemasters already made a patch for this game, but probably sooner or later are going to do another one where the Ferrari is going to be weaker, I can say, and you're going to spend $4 million for nothing because that engine is not going to be really good. Because if you're not familiarized with real life Formula One, the Ferrari engine is by far not as good as the Mercedes. So if you want to spend a lot of money in the engine, fair enough, because straight line speed is a real thing in these F1 games, especially because of the slipstream. I highly recommend to choose the Mercedes, but a piece of advice for me: don't choose the Ferrari. But our engine is going to be Renault. Maybe we're going to struggle a little bit in the straights, but I think this is the most reasonable option considering that I won the challenge and I already raced for Honda last season.
We almost have all the key partners for our team now, but we still need a teammate for you. These are the drivers available to be your first teammate. They all have their own strengths and weaknesses, so consider everything when deciding who to hire. Drivers earn acclaim based on their performances. When a driver earns enough acclaim, they will level up. The higher a driver's level, the more acclaim they will earn for their current team. And remember, the faster the team levels up, the faster our income will increase. The higher a driver's experience, the more resource points are earned to spend on vehicle upgrades. Racecraft is the driver's skill to effectively complete overtakes when opportunities arise. Awareness shows the driver's ability to avoid errors and incidents. Pace describes the driver's ability to set competitive lap times. Rating is a summary of the driver's overall skill level.
And the last thing, we're going to choose our teammate for our team, and we just have the right to choose F2 drivers. We can't choose Formula 1 ones, which I kind of agree, because I think it would make more sense to bring a young driver than an old driver, which would be impossible because of the high salary. So we have a bunch of options, starting with the cheaper ones as Ralph Boschon, Calderon, Delatraz, and Dorian Boccolacci, which just cost $1 million. I'm surprised that Calderon cost $1 million. I think it's a lot for the driver that she is. And then we have the most expensive ones, Luca Giotto, Hubert Matsushita, and the Formula 2 World Champion Nick de Vries, which is the most expensive. It makes sense. So I had two options, which was Nick de Vries and Luca Giotto. I didn't choose Matsushita because he's affiliated to Honda, I believe, and that it wouldn't make any sense. And he's Japanese, so I want to say that he's affiliated with Honda because of Red Bull. I think if it's not now, it was for sure. And then I didn't choose Hubert because I think I don't want to gain views because of someone that passed away. So we have these two options, and I decided to choose Luca Giotto first because he's more cheaper than Nick de Vries, and I want some budget to start our career mode. I don't want to spend everything, and considering that de Vries is in Formula E, it makes sense to bring Giotto to our team. Let's imagine that de Vries in this kind of a game universe has moved to Formula E, is already signed with Mercedes, and we can't do nothing because he has that contract. So our teammate is going to be Luca Giotto.
Looks like we can afford this power unit supplier and teammate. Go ahead and confirm if you're happy. Let's select or edit the livery we'll be running this season. We can add more sponsors to the car as we sign them throughout the year.
Now things are starting to get really tasty. It's time to choose the delivery of our car, and then unfortunately we have the Schumacher ones, the special ones, because of the DLC, the deluxe edition, and the 70 edition, which it looks kind of nice, but obviously I'm not going to choose that. I want something that is made by me, and unfortunately, considering that I have the game very early, I had today, basically, I started to play today. There's not much liveries to choose. They are these are really basic. So as the weeks come on and we have the next season, I'm going to choose a more complex one, a more good looking. This one I actually enjoyed. Is red and black, so I decided to go very simple, and I choose this one because the color of the halo was different from the car, and especially considering that I race in the T-Cam, I think this would be the better good looking, because it would have three different colors. It wouldn't be much boring. I think one color in one T-Cam, I think it would be a boring livery, so I decided to choose this one, and I think red and black looks pretty sick on the car. But as I was saying, as the weeks come by, some more complex liveries are going to be released, and surely I'm going to choose these ones for Season 2, but for now it's going to be this one, which I really enjoy nonetheless.
Now we need a badge for our team branding. Select an existing badge, edit it, or create one from scratch.
I'm gonna be honest with you, I didn't quite enjoy the emblems. I think we're all gawping, I can say. So it was a very hard decision, but after a lot of thinking, not a lot of thinking, when I'm saying this, it seems that I was thinking by about an hour or something like that. But I decided to choose this one. I think it looks really good. We're going to put our colors of our team. We're not going to put black. I think we're going to put white and red. And as the background, I didn't put here, but then I changed to be a little bit better. I decided to put a black background because it's the one of the colors of our car. And by the way, this logo, I can say the logo of our team, this badge, reminds me a little bit of the Assetto Corsa logo. So that was really interesting to see. When I was editing this video, I noted that, and yeah, that's really funny to see that. But yeah, I think it was the best that I could do considering the options that we had. So our team customization is done and dusted, so it's time to choose our calendar. Remember that in this game we have 3 options. We have the full calendar, the 22 races, 16 and then 10 races. This season I'm going to do the whole races, which I think it makes sense, but in the next seasons I'm going to do a shorter calendar because there are tracks that I absolutely hate and don't provide good racing, and yeah, I always like to customize things, but in this first season I'm going to do the full calendar to showcase in a way all tracks in the game. I'm going to do more gameplays outside of my team, career mode obviously, but I decided to keep it simple in this season, but in the next ones I'm going to do a custom calendar. So I hope you guys like the idea, but for now we're going to do the 22 races, and in terms of the difficulty, it's going to be any light with the exception of manual with the suggested gear, to get a better knowledge of the circuit. The rules are going to be simulation damage, obviously. I'm a purist, I can say. Yes, I'm a purist, not esports material, but I always like a bit of a challenge. Park firmware rules, all that formalities, and the race weekend format is going to be the practice session, obviously, to get those resource points, a full qualifying. But in season 2 I'm not entirely sure if I'm going to do, I'm going to switch to a short qualifying, and the races are going to be always 50% races. In terms of the difficulty of the AI, I'm going to put at the moment in 100 because this is a new game I had to learn, and in this weekend Australian Grand Prix I'm going to run without a setup, so I'm going to be far from my potential, but in the next couple of races, in the next races as the season go by, surely that I'm going to increase the difficulty, but for now it's going to be 100 for this Australian Grand Prix. So all the formalities are done in this My Team career mode, so now we're going to talk to Will. We have an interview with him about the introduction of this career mode, and we're going to give him, to let him know and the world and to you guys my ambitions for this team.
Okay, we're live in 5, 4, 3.
Hello folks, and welcome to the HQ of Formula One's newest team. We've been invited backstage to gain an exclusive insight into what could be one of the most exciting entries in the sport for many years. Now, we've seen a number of new teams enter the sport over the last decade, amongst their number Manor, Caterham, HRT and of course Haas. And while some have proved to be successful, others have morphed into different teams and some have disappeared completely. What marks this team out, though, as being something different is that its owner is also its driver. Now, there's a rich history of that in Formula One too. Sir Jack Brabham, John Surtees, Graham Hill, and Bruce McLaren all drove their own cars in the sport, but it has become increasingly rare in recent years. What's very special about this team, though, is that while the team itself is new to Formula One, so too is its driver and owner.
Whatever happens this season, you've already made the history books. Tell me, do you feel up to the mammoth task of both managing and driving for a Formula One team?
In these questions I decided to be 100% honest as I can, because I didn't want to take advantage of the algorithm of the game, I should say, so I decided to go with the right hand side option. Nothing is easy worth doing, and I live for challenges like this, and that's what I really want, and why I'm playing this my team career mode, is that I want a challenge. I want to be tested at the edge in this career mode to get into the top. I don't want something easy, you know, so yeah, definitely it is a challenge.
Every team needs two drivers, but what was it that drew you to your teammates?
Giotto is a very experienced F2 driver, as you guys know, so what we've seen that he can do in the paper, not really in the paper, on the track I should say, and yeah, we could see a lot of potential in him, and he's an F2 veteran, he has a lot of experience, so I decided to go with the below option.
No one aims to finish bottom of the table. Who's the team you're aiming to beat?
In the third question I decided to go with the below option as well, which talks that we should be, and I aim to be at the level of Haas this season, which I think is a pretty reasonable option. I didn't want to choose Williams because Williams is the slowest team and that wouldn't be a very good ambition, you know, but I think Haas, considering that is the second slowest team in theory, and despite here saying that they had a strong last season, which it didn't happen for sure, it was the complete opposite. It was a disaster for Haas in 2019, but I think it's a good aim to be the third fastest, slowest team at the end of the season. So I decided to choose Haas.
How are you expecting the car to feel out on track?
Here we go with the left-hand side option. Sim data looks good, but we won't know until we get out on the track, which we've seen this several times in the pre-season testing, where pre-season results don't tell for sure the whole story. We see Ferrari going fastest and fastest, and then when it comes to the real deal in the Grand Prix, the things are not like that. So we're going to just know the real pace, I should once we hit the track.
The other teams now have years of experience, both on and off the track. How are you planning to catch up to them?
Here the answer is going to be similar to the first question. It's going to be tough. Like I said, I want a challenge. We have a better picture after the first race, and this has a little bit of my answer of the previous question, where we're going just to know the pace once we hit the track at the Australian Grand Prix.
Overtaking is a key part of this sport. How have you ensured that your car can take advantage of each opportunity that comes your way?
Here I decided to complement one of the areas, which it was the engine, which we're going to need to invest, and it's obviously overtaking is a very important thing in a race, and for that you will need for sure power on your power unit, even more in the F1 games, considering that the Supreme is so powerful.
And finally, which of your new departments are you most proud of?
And finally, we're going to complement the aero department. We're going to choose the right-hand type option. Aerodynamics are perhaps the biggest part of Formula One. What our team has achieved is such in a short time is a miracle. And like it says, aerodynamics are the biggest part of Formula One.
Well, that's about all we've got time for here. We will see how this fledgling team fares in its first Grand Prix.
And here it is, the headquarters menu. Let me say, it looks so sick, and the design, I want to say to Codemasters, congratulations, because you have an absolutely crazy design. It looks so good looking, it looks so good, the headquarters menu, and I'm going to show you just a brief too about this menu, because you guys already know, because I'm not the first one posting the career mode. So we have the facilities menu, where we have the aerodynamics, chassis, personnel, powertrain, durability, marketing. The personnel is going to help to improve our teammate, in this case Luca Giotto, to improve his pace, and which we're going to need a lot, considering that he's going to be a debutant in this sport as we are, and the marketing is going to be really good when it comes to sponsors and bring more experienced drivers. So every single part in this game is really important. So, and we can't lose the attention to the personal and marketing. Development of the car is going to be really important, but we can't forget these two extra departments that we have in this game. In the aerodynamics we already have the spec 1, but in the rest we have a spec 0. So maybe these three parts are going to be the most difficult to bring upgrades, because the conditions are not going to be as good as their aerodynamics, and at the moment we can't improve anything in these departments. We need around in average $2 million, so it's going to take quite a time to improve, and it's going to take, who knows, maybe more than 2 seasons. Then we skip forward to the R&D, so it's a more familiar menu, a more familiar tab I should say, and Mercedes at the moment is on the top. And we find ourselves surprisingly not in last place, which it disappointed me a little bit, because I thought we would be miles behind Williams, because we would start from the scratch, but no, it seems that we are the third slowest team ahead of Williams and Haas, so things are going to be less hard for us, which it did disappoint me a little bit, but I'm expecting nonetheless a very good challenge. It's going to be an absolute task to go up in this performance shot, but we have some gap to Alfa Romeo, as you can see. And like I said when we were choosing our engine, bear in mind these are not the final performances of the car. Sooner or later we're going to have a patch from Cody's where they are going to fix the performance in order to make them more realistic. Then we skip forward to another new thing, which is the overview in the activities, and here before the car reveal that I'm going to choose in a few moments time, we have some option to choose before the car reveal, and I decided to go with the season advertisement campaign, because we really need to promote our team in this early stage. We need to the audience of Formula 1 to know what is this team, what are the aims, and this is going to be going to help us out when it comes to bring new sponsors and more money with the merchandise. Remember that we gain money with the selling of merchandise. So I decided to go with the pre-season advertisement campaign, and we didn't have enough time to choose another one, so it's going to be this one. With everything done and dusted, the presentation's all done. We are skipping some days, and as the weeks go by, we receive money and resource points. The money from the Shark sponsor at the moment because it's just one, and the resource points because of the aero department. But now it's time for you guys to get to know the Tom Motorsport F1 car.
Hey boss, this is Jeff. Just wanted to say thanks for trusting me as your race engineer. I won't let you down. The car is ready to go, but it's brand new of course, so there may be a few issues here and there. We'll be keeping a close eye on all the data.
Thanks, Jeff. Now I'm your boss, so make sure to behave well and say things that are really important during a race, because if you don't do that, I'm going not to be a very good person and I'm going to fire you. But there he is, guys, first practice session of F1 2020. I'm so pumped with this, and it was so good to hear Jeff calling me boss. But now let's fire up this boy.
Let's get a few laps under our belt.
Let me say, it sounds so good and it feels so good to be here, play F1 2019 career mode. I hope you guys are enjoying this video. I know that is a very long video, but if you guys stick till the end, I would in advance appreciate that. But here we are doing our first lap in the Tom Motorsport car. I can't believe that this is real. I was with a huge smile in my face when I was doing this lap, and we are straight into the pits like a little shakedown. No one is filming because this is already the season, and yeah, it felt really good to hear the car, the engine, the handling model feels so much great than the F1 2019. You can place so much force now into the brakes, but now we are into the real business. Start to develop the car, start to gather data and resource points, because we really need to climb our way on the field, and it's not going to be an easy task for sure. So starting our practice programs, I'm just showing in this episode, as we have a massive tank slap, we have to be really careful because we pay for the damage. If we crash, we're going to pay for the damage. It's going to be negative money for our finances. So we have to be rational and not push that much in these first laps with this car, because I have to remember, I have to have this mentality that this is a new game. This is this handling model has some changes by being better, as I run wide a little bit in the tire wear test, and that's over, and we didn't pass the tire wear test. But I need to get used to the game, and as the races go by, I'm going to be better for sure, and I need to be consistent as well, because now I have to be really careful, because it's me that is going to pay the damage and take the pain. So hopefully Giotto doesn't crash that much, because if it happens, he's going to pay the damage, you know. But we're doing our things on practice. I'm not going to show. I'm showing just in this round to show to you guys that the practice programs are still the same. And let me say, the practice programs are so much harder in this game. I don't know why. But I didn't, by the way, didn't load the difficulty, but I felt that this practice program was so much harder to pass. I couldn't pass, I just passed 2, I believe, and 1 was purple, and it was the track acclimatization. So that was a bit of a shock. I think the ambitions in the practice programs are a little bit too high, so I think this is a thing that Codys need to fix in a patch that should come in the next few days. So I think this is a problem at the moment with the practice program. I can see I'm with a decent pace. I know that I'm P7 because of the qualifying sim program, but we had some good pace. We were always ahead of the Haas's and the Williams, but still I was failing the tests, and that was a bit frustrating because I couldn't get that much resource points as I would wish. But here we are in qualifying. It's been a very messy already in qualifying, because you don't have that talking between David Croft and Anthony Davison. So that was really good from Codys, because I was a little bit tired to see those pre-qualifying conversations. So it just gets you straight in qualifying. So here we are in Q1. It's going to be probably we're going to be knocked out because this car doesn't have the pace for sure. The first lap was really messy, and I decided to go to another one and improve a little bit as we're going to turn 1 with a new set of tires, and I completely misjudged that braking zone, and we overshot massively turn 1. So I didn't see. I was a little bit distracted, and I didn't see that well the braking point, so that we had to abort that lap and do a cooldown lap and do another one. And as you can see, we're doing a much better time, because we did in a 2-lap old tires our best time, so it's going to be a huge improvement. And moment we are in P22 as we have a front wing damage, because I carried too much speed into the last corner across the line, and we are in P19, and thankfully we are in not last place. And I pushed so much in practice 3 for the qualifying sim program, and it was expecting me to be last place, but I was a little bit relieved. But we have some work to do, because because the AI is really good on last minute runs, so we have to take the most of that. But unfortunately, thanks to the front wing damage, I had to fix, and I got out of the garage as fast as I could. But unfortunately, I didn't have time to set a final lap. But at the end of the day, we're going to be knocked out of Q1, yes, but it's not going to be last place in this Australian Grand Prix. So it is good news. We beat our teammate, thankfully, and I can't complain. Maybe we could beat the Haas's, but considering this is the first qualifying of the season, I think this is a really solid start. So points are probably out of the bag unless we have a miraculous safety car. I think it's the only option, or a miraculous 1-stop if the other guys do a 2-stop. So it's going to be quite a task. It's going to be a learning race, I consider. So without further ado, let's go to the first race of my F1 2020 My Team Career Mode, the Australian Grand Prix. I'm really looking forward, so let's go.
Months of rumour and speculation all come to an end today as we return to Melbourne for the opening race of what promises to be an enthralling season. Welcome along then to the Australian Grand Prix. Just south of Melbourne's downtown business centre is the one and only Albert Park Circuit. 3.3 miles of public roads, closed for the weekend of course, make for a bumpy circuit with little undulation. There are 16 corners around the lake and a couple of good passing opportunities here as well, thanks in part to the DRS zones into turns 1, 3 and 13. Can Mercedes start with victory in their bid to win a 7th consecutive Constructors' title? Could Ferrari or Red Bull establish an advantage early on? And with 22 cars on the grid, how quickly can the new team find their footing? Well, it's great to be back, Anthony Davidson. We've got a lot to talk about this year.
That's right, Crofty. It felt like a long winter, but it's good to finally be back. I have to think the usual suspects will battle it out at the front, but there are always going to be some teething problems early on in the season, so whoever can keep on top of their issues will have the advantage today.
As I mentioned earlier, we're up to 11 teams this season, with a new entry run by, well, of all things, an owner-driver. That's something we haven't seen in this sport since Hector Raback over 4 decades ago. So how are they looking so far?
Ever since their participation was announced, there were questions being asked about whether an outfit like this could survive, and certainly it's proving to be a trial by fire so far. Let's hope they can continue to draw an investment and find a little more pace as well.
It's time to take a look at our starting grid for today's race. Valtteri Bottas lines up on pole position, and it's Lewis Hamilton alongside. Looking at the rest of today's grid, we have Leclerc, Vettel, Max Verstappen and Albon, Sainz, Ricciardo, Norris and Esteban Ocon, Perez, Stroll, Daniel Kvyat and Gasly, Raikkonen, Giovinazzi, Kevin Magnussen and Roman Grosjean, Thomas, Russell, Giotto and Nicholas Latifi. It's almost time for those 5 red lights to go out. Then let's see who can prevail today.
Okay, here we go. I know what you can do. Don't let me down.
Thanks, Jeff. We'll see what we can do, and this is a very happy day for me. Starting the career mode, I still can't believe I'm so happy to be here recording for you guys this video. And apologies for the video being a little bit late. I hope you guys understand. But tomorrow the video is going to be more earlier. It's going to be the Bahrain Grand Prix. But here we are, first episode of F1 2020. My team career mode, 5 red lights, 29 laps ahead of us for the Australian Grand Prix, and it slides out, and away we go. And it was a fantastic start against the Haas cars. And we are at the moment in P17 as we are getting some slipstream of Antonio Giovinazzi, going to shoot on the inside, try to not get contact because DTI is much aggressive this year, as we have a massive tank slap. Apparently made contact with Giovinazzi, and we received a warning, but at the moment we are battling for P16 with Gio as we shoot on the inside into turn 3, as we are still side by side, and we managed to give it a little bit of a squeeze. It wasn't Giovinazzi, so apologies that it is Kevin Magnussen, but we have some side by side action with the other Alfa Romeo of Kimi Raikkonen and the AlphaTauri, the brand new AlphaTauri of Pierre Gasly, and the Raikkonen loses some momentum, and that is going to allow us to go on the inside, getting him alongside and giving a little bit of a squeeze, because we know that the AI is no chill in this game, so we have to be aggressive. I know that I shouldn't be taking those much risks, considering that is an early race and I'm learning the game, but considering that the AI is so much stronger now and is so much aggressive, I don't need to give any mercy, I think, and we have to press on, but we have to go all guns blaze, as Ben says, but we are in the slipstream of Pierre Gasly. This can be an overtake, the first proper overtake I can say, because everyone is bunched up. It can be a proper overtake, the first overtake for the Tom Motorsport car in Pierre Gasly, and that's us into P14 thanks to the help of the overtake button. That is a new feature in this game, which the ERS bar drains a lot once you activate this button, so you have to be really careful. So a piece of advice if you're using this overtake button, but once you click that button the car absolutely shoots on the tarmac, and you get basically, if you click that button you get the max power of the engine, but you have to be really rational to save the ERS and not get the risk of run out, and couldn't be able to defend from the cars because you don't have the ERS. But at the moment we're trying to set our pace. In these soft tires have been a little bit shaky. I'm having some problems with the carcass temperature, and Gasly can't overtake me because he doesn't have the enough straight line speed. It's a problem that I found on the AI, that is they don't use the overtake button that many times in the straight, so it makes things a little bit easier for us. Virtual safety car, and Raikkonen is overtaking me. Ricardo is out of the race, but what is this? Raikkonen overtook me in the virtual safety car. What is happening with the AI? So definitely the AI needs some tweaks, because Raikkonen overtook me in the under the virtual safety car. You cannot do that. That would be an instant penalty, and we're going to try to re-overtaking, but the game is saying to hand over the position to the Alpha, and we lost the position, and it's early days in this game, I understand. This is the first day in the game, surely that we're going to find some glitches, and this is one of them. The AI it seems that the AI can overtake you in the virtual safety car. I was going a little bit slow because I was cooling down in the engine, turning down the engine, but still, that was illegal, and I think that's a problem with the AI, it seems. Or maybe it was me that was going too slow, but I don't think so. So I really want now to overtake Raikkonen. I'm really with an absolute hunger to overtake the Finn, but I'm really struggling with the tires, as you can see, losing the back end like crazy. And let me say that I was struggling a lot with the carcass temperature on my left front, because this is a clockwise circuit, I think you say like that. So the left tires are going to suffer a lot, and I felt some understeer in the fast corners, and in terms of traction in the slow corners, it was quite challenging to feed the throttle. But in a nutshell, the handling model feels so much better than the F1 2020. So now we're going to press a brand new set of hard tires, and I'm praying to the F1 gods that the white stripe tire is a very good tire to this car, because I've seen some gameplays on my team career mode of other content creators, and the hard tire wasn't a very good car for their team. So hopefully that I can manage very well these tires. But there is the replay camera. Luca Kyoto, the front runners such as the guys of Ferrari, Red Bull and McLaren already made their stops, and they found some traffic, including our teammate Luca Kyoto, as he tried to go around the outside of Lando Norris that got out of the pits, but he can't do anything. These guys are in a different race, as maybe this is a free ride between Alexander Albon and Lando Norris, and Norris goes around the outside very easily. He has the whole grip of the wall, the car and everything against this home Motorsport F1 car, and that's him. I don't know what position, but now beautiful helicam shot, and Albon had to wait a few corners later to clear Luca, and yeah, I think Luca is going to pit in this lap anyway, so maybe he was clearing a little bit his race by barging with the AI, but we're making some good progress. These hard tires are feeling really good. I'm not having problems with the temperature, so that was a bit of a relief. And let's see if we can jump Raikkonen. We jumped Giovinazzi, as you can see, and I believe we jumped Raikkonen as well, because Raikkonen pitted in the previous lap, so the undercut has worked. But we locked up a little bit, and we locked up massively, I should say, into turn 1. We lose a heap amount of time, and out of nowhere we have Gasly on our chuff, and now we're going to have quite a task to defend from the Frenchman, because that AlphaTauri is definitely much stronger than our Tom Motorsport car. But on lap 13, and we skip forward now onto lap 17, I'm actually pretty impressed, because I'm keeping at bay. And this is the problem, the other problem that I was talking early in this race, in the early stages, is that the AI doesn't use the overtake button a lot in the straights. They use more in the middle of the corners, and that compromises a lot, and that makes overtaking more challenging for them, more harder for them, and makes more defending easy for me. The only thing that I needed to do was activate the overtake point in the DRS zones, and I was fine, and I couldn't keep him at bay, which it didn't make much sense. We have a virtual safety car. Nicholas Latifi is out of the race. Thankfully, Gasly didn't overtake us. I managed to not go that slow. I think that was a problem, and still, I think it's a glitch on the eye. But this is the race leader, Valtteri Bottas, in the Mercedes. He was in a league of his own, but he thinks, and he was with a soft tire, so is it with a soft medium strategy, which is very weird, because the one soft strategy is the best one to go Albert back, and he surely is going to lose the lead to Lewis Hamilton, so it's going to be a huge drop for Bottas. So that wasn't the best, the brightest idea in the Mercedes crew, and he's going to be just ahead of the McLarens. And I can tell you that he didn't peep in the virtual under the virtual safety car, so he didn't gain any advantage. So I think he should have started on the softs and then switched to the hards, but Mercedes thought different. And Gasly now is going to try on the inside. Finally, we're having some battle. We lose a bit of our front wing because Gasly turned a little bit into us. I couldn't give maybe much more room. If I would step on the grass, and unfortunately we have some front wing damage, and we have to go till the end of the Grand Prix. But I'm not done yet, because I want really to now more than ever get ahead of Gasly, and we're going to gave him a massive squeeze, gave him a taste of his own medicine. That was a great comeback to Gasly, going around the outside. I didn't think that I was going to manage to do that, because now I'm going to struggle a lot with the downforce. As you can see, massive lockup on the front right, and now this time Gasly, I think he got us, and he's going to start to pull away. So I did what I could, and unfortunately we got some damage. And yeah, now Gasly is going to also where we are outside of the point, so it doesn't matter that much, but it was just for pride. So with 11 laps to go, now we have the tax as Bottas unsurprisingly sets the fastest lap because he's with the fresher tires. I think he can still maybe score a podium and overtake both Red Bulls, but I think the win surely is out of the bag, because Hamilton is going to probably win this race as we skip forward onto lap 21, as we are under threat of Kimi Raikkonen, very, very strong on that Alfa Romeo, as we cut a little bit the corner, so apologies of the track limits. I'm not the best guy when it comes to that business, and it wasn't Raikkonen, so apologies for that. It is Gio that overtook us, and it is up into P14, so we are falling down a little bit thanks to the front wing damage given by Gasly, and Giovinazzi is going to start to pull away, and we have to defend from these guys, but Raikkonen is starting to pick up the pace, so the Alphas are starting to look good in these closing stages of the GP, as with a privileged view of this battle, it is our teammate Kyoto, and Raikkonen gets through Grosjean, and Grosjean is with some problems, it seems. I think that Jeff warned me about Grosjean with some problems, and this is going to allow our teammate to try to go around the side of the Haas. This is brilliant stuff. See our teammate on our car overtaking some cars. This is absolutely amazing to see the car that we designed on a racetrack battling with the other teams. So this is incredible. Thanks to Codemasters for this, but Giotto gets through Grosjean, and that's him into P17. There he is in the heads-up display. I had to customize it because at the moment he's on default, but penultimate lap is the closing stages. We locked up once again into turn 1. Definitely I'm struggling with the downforce of this car because of front wing damage. Raikkonen tried to get through, received the warning, that was quite a hefty impact, and I think Raikkonen has front wing damage, so we're going to watch the replay. Second incident in this race, so it's been a race with some incidents from my part, and Raikkonen, yeah, I think it was a little bit ambitious. I think he could just wait, and he had a little bit more track on his outside, and Raikkonen now, one of his end plates is missing, and there he is, Kyoto trying to go on the inside, but Raikkonen managed to cover, but he forces his way, the Italian, he gets his elbows out and gets through, and Raikkonen couldn't give a response with that major wing damage, and we skip forward on the last lap. Kyoto is starting to get closer and closer, but I think that's it, and we're locked up in the penultimate corner, and Kyoto takes a look as we are side by side into the last corner. I don't know, I can't believe that is happening, and he managed to go round the outside, and this is going to be a photo finish, but Kyoto is going to beat us in the race of my team career mode, and everything was set to go to be ahead of him, but we bottle it on the last corner, and that was so unfortunate for us, but that's it. And he gets a Driver of the Day award, so GG's for him. It was totally deserved. He took the opportunity, and that was a reward to him.
We've witnessed some great battles on the streets of Melbourne today, and they've taken a fantastic win. What do you think it was, Ant, that gave them the edge over the competition today?
I feel like consistency was probably the key today. There's being quick, and then there's being quick lap after lap after lap. If you can do that, you can capitalise on other people's errors without making many of your own. And that's an approach that can push you a long way up the field.
Mercedes are on top form once again after an excellent race weekend. It's great to see them up on that podium once again.
But there he is, confirmation results, guys. Lewis Hamilton wins the Grand Prix, followed by Charles Leclerc. The Ferrari is looking more stronger than in real life here in the game, but remember, we should have a pass for the performance. But there he is, P15 and P16 in the debut of Tom Motorsport. In the Constructors, we are still with 0 points with Mercedes leading. But guys, that has been my first episode of F1 2020, my team career mode. It was a longer episode, but if you watch still here, you're an absolutely OG. I really appreciate that. And if you could share this video with everyone that you can, it would mean a lot, because YouTube YouTube algorithm doesn't like small content creators, so the best thing that you could do is share this video, smash like and scratch an F to see plenty more Formula 1 2020 content, because a lot of content now is coming. Tomorrow is going to be out the second episode, the Bahrain Grand Prix, but there is we're going to receive some money, but definitely it was a very hectic first episode. But for me is everything. Thank you so much for watching once again, and I'll see you guys for a brand new video next time. But for now, it's goodbye, and I'll see you guys tomorrow for episode 2.